Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's deep dive into Star Trek nerdiness, we're going to be talking about the NCC registry numbers used to identify different Starfleet vessels. In particular, we're going to be examining the registries of the Constitution class starships that we're seeing during the original series and evaluating whether or not they are inconsistent. For example, if the class ship, the USS Constitution, has a registry of NCC 1700 as is widely accepted, why do some Constitution class ships have registries that are lower than this? So let's see if we can sort this out. First of all, we'll go over all the Constitution class ships that appear on screen during the original series. A note that many of these ships' registries were not visible during the original run of the show, but we could see them in the TOS remastered version. First, of course, is the Enterprise 1701. Then we have the Constellation 1017. The USS Intrepid, with registry of 1631, was mentioned in the episode Immunity Syndrome but not seen until the remastered version, where it was inserted into the background of the episode Court Martial. Then we have the Defiant 1764, which was later seen on Enterprise when they visited the Mirror Universe. In the episode The Ultimate Computer, we see 4 different Constitution-class ships conducting war games against the Enterprise, namely the Lexington 1709, the Excalibur 1664, the Hood 1703, and the Potemkin 1657. Finally, in the episode The Omega Glory, we see the Exeter 1672. See, most of these registry numbers, with one obvious exception, occur in the 1600 and 1700 range. However, if the Constitution herself does indeed have a registry of 1700, some of these would be considered inconsistencies, assuming the numbers are chronological. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. In particular, we're going to consider the case of the USS Constitution. Or more specifically, we're going to be looking at the registry number NCC 1700. The first appearance of this registry number is in a chart seen at Starbase 11 in the episode Court Martial. You see at the bottom, it shows the completion rate for repairs on the NCC 1700. Of course, there are no names attached to any of the starships here, we just have the registries. Just on a little side note, in the middle of the chart you can also see NCC 1864, which is the registry of the Reliant. Now moving on, in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, we can see this computer screen depicting a security alert. Even though, of course, this would be the refit Enterprise at the time, we see a original configuration Constitution. And if you look carefully at the saucer, you can see the registry is NCC 1700. However, there is no name associated with this ship on the computer screen. Furthermore, in the TNG episode Data Lore, once again an original version of the Constitution class appears on a computer screen with the registry NCC 1700, but once again there is no name associated with this ship. Now, as far as I can tell in my research, at no point in Star Trek on screen is the registry number NCC 1700 assigned to the USS Constitution. And in fact, the Constitution herself is never specifically mentioned by name, either in dialogue or on a computer display or something of that nature. So, despite the fact that this registry NCC 1700 is widely accepted and appears often in in-universe reference works such as Star Trek Encyclopedia, technically it's not canon, and the Constitution could have a different registry if that would help sort out any possible inconsistencies. There's one other specific case I want to look at, and that is the USS Constellation. Even if we decide to give the Constitution a lower registry, to accommodate the 1017 registry of the Constellation, we have to move that registry down all the way to about 1000, which is not necessarily impossible, although it seems a bit of a stretch considering all the other Constitution registries are so close together. So I offer another possible explanation for this, and that is that the Constellation may have been named for an older ship that had the registry 1017. Now, this is not normally how Starfleet does things. We know in the case of the Enterprise in particular, each new ship gets the same registry, but with a letter attached. And in other cases, when Starfleet reuses a name, the ship normally gets a completely new registry number. For example, earlier we saw that the Hood had a registry of 1703. But during the 24th century, there was an Excelsior-class Hood, which had a registry of 42296. However, I was able to find one other example in Star Trek of a new ship being given exactly the same registry as its predecessor. And this is the USS Sao Paulo, which has a registry of NCC 75633. Now, if that's not familiar, this is the replacement Defiant-class vessel assigned to DS9 after the original was destroyed. And it's mentioned in the episode that they have permission to rename the ship to Defiant. However, if we look at the shots of this new Defiant in the final episode, we can see that not only has it been renamed the Defiant, but it has been given exactly the same registry, which is NX 74205. Now, a little bit of behind-the-scenes information on this. Apparently, Ronald D. Moore had intended to give the ship the A designation after the registry, just like with the Enterprise, but this was eventually shot down for practical reasons. Since the show was almost over, it was deemed not worth the effort to modify the model and lose all their previous stock footage to change the registry. So in any case, in universe, we have an example of a new ship being commissioned with exactly the same registry number in honor of a previous vessel. So this could be an explanation of the low registry of the Constitution class Constellation. So to summarize our possible explanations, that the USS Constitution could have a lower registry than normally that is viewed, such as perhaps the lower 1600s instead of 1700. And the Constellation could be named for an older ship that had the 1017 registry. So what do you guys think? I welcome any comments down below. Thank you for joining me again, and I hope you have a blessed day.